guys, my name is Zach Clark, and this is going to be a bike check of my Yeti SB-66. So let's get into it. So to start off, it is the 2013 aluminum model in a size extra large. I'm 6'1" and 175 pounds, so it is just long enough to be stable, but short enough to be playful and poppy. So to start, I run a Raceface Evolve bar. It's one of the lower end bars, but it was affordable and it's comfy and I like the rise. And I have it cut to 760 millimeters. I like a slightly narrower bar than I know a lot of people have moved towards the wider 800 mil, but I like them a little skinnier, especially coming from a cross-country background. It's just easier for me to turn the bike and play on it rather than feeling like I'm trying to steer like a barge. I'm running a Truvative stem at 80 millimeters. It's a bit longer than standard, but again, I come from a cross-country background and I find it helps me get over the front of the bike both for climbing and for cornering. It's a pretty slack bike, and while it has an okay seat angle, like it's a long bike and you need to get over the front end to climb properly. On top of my stem, I'm running something pretty special. It's a K-Edge top cap, and so it holds my Garmin in place right there, and so it keeps it clean and tidy and out of the way, and holds the Garmin super tight. I don't have to worry about it ever falling off. It is so tight. For my grips, I'm currently running ODI Elite Flows, but before that, I just put them on recently, but before I was running a much older version of the ODI Ruffians. And I mainly ride without gloves. I don't like riding with gloves, and I know people say you should when you crash and stuff, but I just don't like it. And I really like the feeling of both these grips underneath my hands. They've got like these little pockets, and it just feels a lot comfier, especially you get a little dirt on your hands, like rubbing in, and you got like the perfect amount of grip. And then they have, on the underside of both of them, the old Ruffians anyway, the new ones don't have this, they have this like square-edged waffle pattern that you stick your fingers into, and it really helps on like G8, like harsh G outs, and when I'm like off the back of the bike to help me like hold on a lot better. I don't feel like I'm like slipping and rotating around the handlebars as badly. So for my brakes, I'm running Shimano Dior brakes with metallic pads. I've found that they're nearly as powerful as XT or the Saints, like it's just a small difference, and they are more affordable. And then even without the like special adjustments of the levers and all the fiddly stuff you can do with the higher end models, they're powerful enough with enough actuation. I've never had a problem with them. They're also really easy to believe. Another little thing, I'm also running my levers about as far away from the bar as I possibly can while still being able to reach them. I have pretty long fingers, and I like to run them like at the very tip of my fingers stretched out. It's just, I don't know, it's just personal preference obviously, but I really hate when brakes pull in and like touch your other fingers or get close. I can't ride like that. It's so awkward, and I have big fingers, so like they go out far away from the bar with like wide grips, and so it's just a lot easier for me. And then it also helps me avoid like unnecessary brake checks, like if I'm trying to go fast or like get ready for a jump. If I can't reach the brakes easily, then I'm more likely to just commit and go for things, which is what I really want anyway. And then attached to those, I'm running 180 millimeter rotors with the 6 bolts. There's no direct mount on these. I don't feel like it. For my drivetrain, I'm running a mixture of components. They're mostly all Shimano. So for my crankset, I have Shimano Z cranks. I've found they are a bit heavier, but I have a habit of breaking cranks off. I feel like I don't know if I hit things hard or what happens, but I've broken a couple cranksets, and the Shimano Z's have been bulletproof for me. They're a bit heavier, but I've never had any issue with them. I never feel like they're flexing underneath me, anything like that. So they're amazing. So attached to the crankset, I have a 32 tooth Raceface narrow wide chainring. I like the 32. I had a 34 for a little bit. It was kind of, I don't know, it was just a little bit too much for me with the like steep climbs we have around here and like the long grindiness. But this was while I was running a smaller cassette. Never switched back. I like the 32, and it seems to work really well for all situations basically. So for my derailleur, I have a Shimano XT 10-speed short cage, because it's a 1x, I don't need the long cage, keeps it out of the way of rocks and stuff. And that's running, I believe it's a 10x42 tooth cassette, but on that cassette I have the E13 extra 46 tooth cog, which means I removed one cog from the standard Shimano cassette, and I have it in blue, and that's great for like mountain goat climbing when it's just super steep and you just need that extra gear, because I don't have an 11 speed or the 12 speed Eagle, so this works really well for me. And I like climbing a lot, so it's nice just to have that like backup. And then with that, I'm just running a standard Shimano chain, nothing fancy. I have a Shimano Saint bottom bracket in gold, and attached to that, I have an MRP SXG chain guide with the bash guard on the bottom. I also run Shimano XT clipless pedals, the ones trail pedals with the outer ring, and then I also run Kona Wawas, or the second version of those, big flat composite ones. So for my fork, I have a Fox Factory 34 Talus set at 160 millimeters. And so it has the adjustable travel with the Talus feature from 160 millimeters to 140 millimeters. It also has the remote lockout that with the bar mounted lever, but I took that off since it added clutter to my bar. It was kind of finicky, like with the cable stretching, and I honestly just didn't use it. So I have my compression set where I want it for an open mode effectively, and I just don't mess with it. So I run 127 psi in the fork, and I have one token in the air chamber, and so that's pretty stiff for my body weight, like through, but I feel like it creates a pretty linear air spring by just having the one token, because I really hate the feeling of forks diving, and so I like them to be consistent through the whole travel. And then I run 4 clicks of rebound, so pretty quick, not the fastest, but pretty quick. As for my shock, it's a Fox Factory DPS float, and I run 155 psi in it, and I don't really bottom it out much. Every once in a while I will, and if I'm riding somewhere a lot harsher like Moab, where it's a lot of like hard impacts, I'll up the pressure by about 5 psi. It has 9 clicks of rebound, and then I think I put it down to 7. Like I had it at 9, I think I sped it up to 7 clicks from counter full open. Just speed it up a little bit because it just felt a little sluggish for like hopping and manualing and stuff. And I only ever run it in the fully open setting. The Yeti has such a good pedaling platform with its switch. For my Seatpost, I'm running an externally routed RockShox reverb at 125 millimeters. It's slightly above slammed, but I get basically full drop to the C-tube, and that's all I really wanted in the bike, because there's a 21-inch C-tube on the bike, which is kind of old geometry. It's pretty long, therefore it just doesn't allow for that long of a dropper. And honestly, I'm never going to get this Seatpost again. I've had problem after problem with it. The lines are a pain to bleed since it's hydraulic, and hydraulic's just unnecessary. Like there's other dropper posts that all use cable and they work just as well. And then because of the hydraulic, and just the way they've built the seals, it is super slow in cold conditions, and sometimes it just gets stuck, and like it's either stuck at the top or stuck at the bottom. It takes away the entire point of having a dropper post. May as well have a post with a quick release at that point. I've been pretty lucky though in that one where most of my friends' reverbs have pretty bad play where they like go side to side, but mine has not developed any of that, so hey, a benefit. My saddle on top of that Seatpost is a WTB Volt. I think the race model. I'm not entirely sure how wide it is. I want to say 148. And it's my favorite saddle out there. Like it's the best best saddle I've ever ridden. It's so comfy. Before I had it, when I first built up the bike, I put a Crank Brothers iodine on it, and it was such a pain. Both of the rails broke within 3 months just from I didn't even take any heavy impacts on it, just riding it. They both broke. And it was causing me a lot of pain and numbness, and then it wouldn't stay in place. It kept sliding on the rails and it would creak horribly. It was just not a good saddle and it didn't work well for me. Finally, my wheel and tire setup. I am running Canfield Brothers 26-inch Enduro rims attached to their hubs. The hubs is just a simple 3-pawl system, but they have plenty of engagement and are absolutely bomb-proof. I've never had to rebuild them after over 7,000 miles on them. They are just incredible, and I like the reliability. And then on those, I'm running Maxxis Minion DHFs on front and rear. I'm running a 2.5 in the front and a 2.4 in the back. There's no tire inserts, they're just set up tubeless. They're both set up with the 3C compound. I think next time I'll put a downhill double down in the rear, but I also really haven't had any problems with the lighter compound, just every once in a while it'll fold, so. And so that is my Yeti SB-66. I've had it for nearly 4 years, and while everyone says 26-inch is dead, I would argue that it's just as much fun, and just as fast. It's been the perfect workhorse for me. It can do anything. I've even done a couple cross-country races on it when my other bike was broken, and it worked great. Thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe, and if I missed anything or you have any questions, please put it down in the comments and I'll try and get back to you.
You're the Dread Pirate Roberts, admit it!
With pride. I'm the Dread Pirate Roberts. What can I do for you?
The Dread Pirate Roberts.
The Dread Pirate Roberts.
The secret of Dread Pirate Roberts.
The legend of the Dread Pirate Roberts.